my video cut out on me. So I needed to be home with the care of my family, and get checked out by my primary care doctor, do the proper testing I needed to do that a hospital couldn't do. So I went home, and again, the symptoms had increased to the point where I was like debilitatingly unable to do anything but lay in bed like a vegetable. I was so weak. And so I went to the doctors with my best friend there for support. I forgot to mention at this point, after I took that first shot of testosterone, after being off of it, I went off of it completely because the doctors and I have hypothesized that the reason that all of this had happened was possibly hormone imbalances, and also paradoxical reactions to medication, and I'll get into that a little bit more later. But so I went back home, got checked out by my doctor. I couldn't find anything. Again, couldn't find anything, and I felt like I was dying, and I was like, this is so stupid. Like, the doctors just must not be listening to me. And because I was never given a straight answer that wasn't, it wasn't anxiety or something, and then I started to kind of get scared about like my magnesium, potassium levels, how those were low, and I thought that maybe I had some kind of disease or something that was making them low that first time, like, because when I went to my doctors, they told me that those levels were fine, so I don't know. I don't know, I guess I wasn't convinced. So that triggered health anxiety. Being in the hospital and being sick and feeling like that triggered a very severe health anxiety, which started to make me hyper aware of every sensation in my body, and every sensation I felt in my body, I thought I was dying. And that created a bunch more anxiety symptoms. I was thrown into a deep, deep depression that I'm still in. I haven't gotten out yet. And for the past 6 months, I've been fighting that, and trying to figure out how to heal from it and recover from it. It's been hard. I can't say that it's been easy. It's been the hardest thing that I've ever been through in my life, and I've been through abuse. So, and so basically, I want to talk about what's been going on in these past 6 months. Basically, the first few months, I was very, very sick. I had a really hard time moving and getting around, but I tried to do it as best as I could. I started to try and eat more, and with time, I started to get around more better, and I was starting to walk a little bit better, and getting around the house and everything. And this all got triggered back in September, and then by December, I was getting around and I was going out more in public. At some point during these 6 months, I developed agoraphobia because I was, I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't in work. I wasn't in school. I was at home all the time. And so, and with the anxiety and the panic and the health anxiety, I started to get scared to leave the house because I was just too terrified of something bad happening, or, what if I die, or something like that, or what if I have a panic attack? And, it was also like a forced agoraphobia because I was so trapped in the house all the time because I didn't have anywhere to go that I started to fear the outside world, and I started to develop something called depersonalization, which is it is a severe type of anxiety, where most people don't understand that depersonalization is actually a type of anxiety. You can also have it with psychosis, but you're not psychotic. Don't worry. If you're asking yourself if you're psychotic, then you're not. But if you have an anxiety disorder and you have depersonalization, I can guarantee you it's your anxiety that's causing the depersonalization. And what it feels like is like nothing around you is real. It feels like a dream. Everything feels really strange. You can't explain it, but everything just feels wrong. It doesn't feel right. It's awful. It's an awful feeling. One of the scariest feelings I've ever experienced in my life. And you look at your hands, and your hands don't look like your hands. They don't look real. And it's scary. And that makes you panic more. That makes you more anxious. And I started to get that so severely that I was too scared to get out of bed again. I was too scared to leave the house. And I tried to overcome that more and more. And then in January, I was finally recommended to go see a psychiatrist to get on the right kinds of medications. I went to see a psychiatrist. They put me on Zoloft. I took one dose of that Zoloft, and it was actually just a half a dose. And I was sent into a major panic attack, the worst panic attack I've ever experienced in my life. And it lasted for half an hour. I could not get out of it until I called crisis services, and they worked me through it, because I was so scared something bad was going to happen to me. I was so scared. I was like manic but panicking at the same time. I was so scared I was going to hurt myself. I didn't know what was happening. It was the scariest thing ever. And 24 hours later, when that medication peaked in my system, I had the worst symptoms I've ever had in my life. I started shaking violently. I couldn't stand again. I couldn't see straight. I was falling over. I tried to speak and I couldn't. My tongue was numb. Every symptom that you could think of I was having, and I thought I was dying again. And I thought I was having a seizure. I thought I was going to black out. I thought I was losing my memory. I called my psychiatrist's office right away and said, what do I do? And they said, you need to go to the hospital. You're having an adverse reaction to your medication. I went to the hospital, and probably this moment, that day, when I was having those symptoms and was in the hospital, was probably scarier than anything I've ever experienced in my life. I went to the hospital, and see, I'm kind of getting anxious right now talking about it because I'm starting to get dizzy, and I don't want to. They checked everything, checked my blood work and everything. Couldn't find anything. They just said that I was having a very, very bad reaction to the medication. And I talked to the doctor there and the psychiatrist there, and they said, look, Alex, your body is so severely sensitive to medications like anti-anxiety and antidepressants, like medications that are psychoactive, or like things like caffeine. They said you can't take it. Your body just, it has this thing called a paradoxical reaction where those psychoactive medications and everything trigger in you what it's supposed to prevent, like panic attacks and really, really scary anxiety and everything. Like, it gives that to me instead of taking it away. And I know, yes, sometimes the symptoms, get worse and you're anxious the first 2-3 weeks of you taking a medication and everything. I get that, but this is something different. Like, this is something that I can't explain to somebody unless they've gone through it as well. Some people, their bodies cannot take psychoactive medications, and the doctors told me you're one of those people, and I, that broke my heart, because now I had to learn to recover from something so impossible without medication. And medication helps people get through stuff. And now I had to do this all natural vitamins, all natural diet, exercise, yoga, things like that to get me through it. And I hated hearing that. I also tried medical marijuana a week after that. And I know there's CBD, THC, the THC is the psychoactive ingredient. That's what triggers anxiety and panic in some people, and the CBD is the calming, soothing effect and everything. So I went on medical marijuana that was the highest CBD and lowest THC ratio you can get with medical marijuana, and I was fine for the first 2-3 days, and then once it started to get into my system, again, I was triggered into panic attacks and felt really, really sick, and it was doing the same thing that the medications were doing because that THC was in my system. And I've also tried CBD only products and everything. They don't really do much for me, so why take them? Some of this stuff does really work for people. I don't want to say that it doesn't work for everybody, because it does. CBD and stuff like that does work for other people and their anxiety, but I think there's some people in the world that it's so severe and their bodies are too sensitive that they can't, and I can't. So, I tried everything that I could, and the doctors told me, you got to do this naturally. And so from there, I tried to heal my body from all the crazy reactions it had been having from medications and the marijuana and the hormone imbalances. And, it's just been a waiting game to heal myself and heal my body and heal my mind. And, I've gone off everything. I haven't been on anything since then. It's end of March now, so brings me to now. Oh, I forgot to mention too that marijuana can trigger depersonalization in people. It's not the cause of depersonalization, but it can trigger it. And I had been smoking marijuana for 2 years prior to all of this, and I did have panic attacks almost every time I did smoke. So I think that the marijuana had something to do with me getting triggered into the depersonalization as well. Anyways, it brings me to the now. So since those last reactions I had back in January, I've been seeing therapists and everything, and I actually am going to probably switch therapists because I don't feel like I've been getting the help I need from my current therapist. Not that I don't like her or anything, it's just, you have to find the right person for you. I don't struggle with depersonalization as much as I did before. It used to be every day, all day long. Now it happens rarely, if any at all. I don't know. Most people say that you kind of have to learn to just accept it, and organize your thoughts so that you're not thinking about it. You have to distract yourself, and I guess that's kind of what I did. I don't have a straight answer for how I overcame it because I don't know. People have been telling me to do stuff and I've been doing it, and that's what you need to do in your recovery is just don't ask questions, don't try to figure out what's working and what's not. You just need to do it. And that's been me with like exercise and yoga and a healthy diet and everything like that. Like, just do it. You don't know what's going to work. You don't know when it's going to work. And somebody that I watch on YouTube said that to me. His name's Noah. He's the big no-no. He's helped me a lot during this recovery because he's been through it as well, and he has recovered from it. And he sent me a message before and told me that, like, you don't know when and what is going to work. Like, you just need to do it, and you need to push through even on your worst days. And, since then I've put myself on a schedule, which is helping the depression. It's good to have a schedule. It's good to have purpose to get up in the morning. I do some work around my house, and I have certain times of the day where I exercise and I do yoga, and certain times where I eat my meals and things like that. And I have noticed that it has helped a little bit, and it's just right now it's kind of a waiting game. Just kind of sticking to what I need to stick to, and healing and implementing cognitive behavioral therapy methods and stuff like that, because it's really, really important to healing, especially when you're not on medication. Healing with health anxiety and regular generalized anxiety and panic disorder is pretty much the key, is going to be the cognitive behavioral therapy. And that's why I think I'm going to switch therapists, because I haven't really feeling like I've been benefiting from any CBT with my current therapist. But I don't really have panic attacks that much anymore, and if I do, they happen very rarely. Like, I think one every month, one every 2 months. And when they do happen now, I'm very good at making them go away, like the moment they pop up. Like, I learned a lot of breathing techniques and relaxation techniques and cognitive stuff to pretty much get rid of it right away. And I learned that from watching other YouTubers who've been through something very similar to this. Right now, the past few months since January, it's been ups and downs. I have maybe a week or two where I'm pretty good, and I can get around and do things, and my anxiety isn't bothering me too much. But then my depression's kind of bad, and then sometimes I get thrown into a few weeks of really severe like health anxiety again. Like the past 3 weeks, I've been dealing with bad health anxiety again because I've been having this dizziness every time I look down at like a sink or something. And I have been having vertigo when I go on elevators and stuff like that, and I've just been feeling really lightheaded and weird and fuzzy, and it's been obviously really freaking me out. So my health anxiety has been really bad again, and it went away before. Like, my health anxiety went away for I think at least 2 months before this, and now it's back. So it's kind of like now I have to figure out what I need to do again to get rid of it. And I went to the doctors and everything. They couldn't find anything with my vertigo, and I'm going to a neurologist this week just to double check, but obviously they think it's just anxiety, because stress can do crazy things to our bodies, especially when you're constantly stressed for 6 months in a row, which I've been. So I don't know, but I tried going to my first convention back in February, Katsucon. I tried going to that for the first time in almost a year since I had been to a convention. It was really hard. It was really difficult. I had to stay in the hotel room for most of the weekend because that's a 4 day thing, and it was my first time traveling and really being anywhere far outside of my house since being in recovery, and it was scary, and it took a lot of work, a lot of effort because of the agoraphobia and the panic and everything, and it was pretty scary. And I made it through it though, and I made it out alive, and I got to see all my friends. And it was sad and scary though, because I couldn't leave the hotel room very often because I was just so sick, and the dizziness was so bad, and I just felt so weak, and I couldn't do it. But I've been to, I think, 2 more conventions since that, and I did better at those ones. Still just feeling kind of sick and everything. So right now I'm working with my doctors to figure out, what if there is anything really that's making me really dizzy and really sick. So that's why I'm going to a neurologist. I have to go to an optometrist to get the answers, the final answers that I need. And then once, if at the end of the day it is anxiety, then from there I can accept it and I can work on it and figure out what I need to do with my anxiety to make the symptoms go away. But I mean, that's pretty much it. That's been my story so far, and I just wanted to put this out there for anybody who may possibly be going through the same thing and could use some advice, or they don't want to feel alone, because I feel really alone during all of this. It's scary. And if anybody has any advice for me, or help for me to get through this or anything, I would really appreciate it. I do recommend watching some other big YouTubers who talk about all of this stuff. I didn't mention Noah, the big no-no. Douglas Block, who is a writer and depression therapist who writes books on these subjects, and he also has recovered from his own anxiety, depression issues. And I think the anxiety guy, I just recently started watching him. He talks a lot about health anxiety and how to get through that, and he has also recovered from it. So I would recommend watching those people, and there's a lot of people on YouTube who have gone through this and have recovered from it. I want to make these videos as my my stance as a cosplayer, kind of like in the nerdy community, and also as a transgender individual. So anybody out there who can relate to that, or just relate to the whole mental issues in general, that's why I wanted to make these videos. So I kind of want to just update people and make videos based on, how my recovery is going, and things that are helping me and working for me, and I hope this helps. I'm going to leave my email down in the description, so that if you have any questions, you want to reach out to me, I will respond probably as soon as I can, because I don't really got much going on besides sitting in my room all the time and whatever. But I'm sure I missed a million things in this video that I still will want to talk about later on, but this is pretty much the gist of it. So like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. If not, then I'll see you guys later.